In this video, we'll be discussing about HTML block and inline elements. So every HTML element has a default display value depending on what type of element it is. The most two common display values are block and inline. So block level elements, let us talk about that. So a block level element always start on a new line and the browser automatically add some space, a margin before and after the element. So a block element is always takes up the full width available, stretches out to the left and right as far as it can. Two commonly used block elements are this paragraph and division. So the paragraph element defines the paragraph in an HTML document. The div element defines a division or a section in an HTML document. So this is how a paragraph is, a block level element, and this div is also a block level element. So if I set the, the border of paragraph and div, as you can see, it takes up the whole space. It stretches out to the left and right and takes up the maximum space. So now what happens is that here are all the block level elements in HTML. All this can be used. Now let us talk about some inline elements. We have already discussed about paragraph, but we'll be discussing about div in the next lecture in detail. So let us talk about inline elements for now. Inline elements, an inline element does not start on a new line. An inline element only takes up as much width as necessary. This is a span element inside a paragraph. So let us talk about example. So here like span is hello world. So now what will happen? In the span style we have set the border. Why we have set the border? We have set it because to know how much space it is taking. So span is basically inline element and hello world will take only this much space which is required. But if we have added a paragraph or a division over here, then what would happen? It would have taken the whole space. It would have first begun with a new line and it would stretch and take space from left to right. So this is how it happens, and an inline element cannot contain a block level element. Now talking about the div element, the div element is often used as a container for other HTML elements. The div element has no required attributes, but style, class, and ID are common. When used together with CSS, the div element can be used to style a block of content. Like for example, a block is there. So if division is there, in that you could set background color to black, color text white, and padding to be 20 pixels. So if you have a block, something like this, so what you can do, you could style a particular block. Also, the span element is an inline container used to, mark up a part of text or a part of the document. You could also, you using span, you could just mark up little bit like this blue eyes, or if you want to highlight this particular word or something like this. So what you need to do, you need to go write span here, and in the style you will write color this font to be, this, and weight will be bold, something like this. And here dark green. So dark green, what you did, you write span, and using the style attribute you wrote color dark olive green, font weight to be bold. So this is how you could use the span element also. So this was all for block and inline, and in the next lecture we'll be discussing about HTML division. So I'll meet you in the next lecture. I hope you would have understood all the span function, block, and div element.